Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on November 18th, 2023 at approximately 4:20 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the precise philosophies I guide my everyday with. Now, I know these tools can work for you because I've actually shared them with literally thousands of other people with varying degrees of success depending on their own efforts. Now, before I go any further here, we have Philip Blair in the house with the gold. How you doing, Philip? Glad you're here. Hope things have been going well. My day, to say the least, is a little bit hectic. Cowie, how you doing? You're in with the silver today. So I've got things reorganized. As some of you know, some of you are receiving the newsletter. And on the last page, it tells you I'm doing a major revamp on the layout of it, or more to the point, making certain it stays on track. Now, still working on a few things, but I will tell you, it's turned out to be a much bigger project than I was expecting. But now that we've got the computer working properly, Shadow and Son, how you doing? You're in with the bronze. And I think I forgot to bring something up on track. Nope, didn't forget to. So, where are we? Take this and we go. Shadow and Sun is right there. So, this is the link to Shadow and Sun's live stream. Absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he's got to say, do give him a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of it. That would be really appreciated. Now we minimize that because we can. And Joe, you're in with honorable mention. Now, presumably you're feeling better having done that. I'm a firm believer that whatever method you use to help keep yourself focused and help keep yourself on track is a good move, as long as it doesn't break karmic law, which, let's face it, praying a rosary does not break karmic law in any functional fashion. So what I do desire to get done today, of course, I got all these sheets that are just totally useless. There we go. I think it really is time to get things properly organized so everything goes in the right fashion. And unfortunately, I tend to be a little scattered during my day. And what do we got here? Whoa. Philip is just pointing out, I got a book on torture in Europe over the last few hundred years. I'm glad we live now and not in a time innocent until tortured into confession. I lived a lifetime where that was literally what I did. Okay, I worked for the Spanish Inquisition. I also worked during the witch hunts. I was good at it. And sad to say, especially during the Spanish Inquisition, I enjoyed it. In today's world, I really don't. I'm very happy to hear that, Joe. The fact that you're feeling better about it. The reality is, whatever you can do to keep yourself focused, this is the important factor. Okay. Now, I just sent the newsletters out. I guess this morning. It was after midnight, so it would have been this morning. but I've already started writing the next ones. Oh, Callie, I'm not sure about, like, I don't know what quite frankly, what they've discovered about quantum theory, but I can tell you this. Number one, the Stargate program works very well. Now, let's see if I can figure out how to do this. I do know how it works in my head. The Stargate program itself is actually a functional program. Let's see if I can do this. Grab over here. Grab a felt pen. And again, guys, we are talking about artwork here. Not my strong suit. But we'll see what we can come up with. Let's see if I can make this Sam. The answer there, Callie, is frankly no. The mathematical equation, I really cannot. Okay, I am not a mathematician by any means. Now, if Einstein were still alive, or for that matter, Stephen Hawking's, either one would have been able to do it quite nicely. What I'm doing here is trying to give a rough gauge. A rough gauge of how all of this works. Now, the way a Stargate program works, okay, you take a three-dimensional space. Now, like I said, pardon the artwork, mine is not good in my eyes. You take a cube, three-dimensional space, height, width, and depth. To find the center of that, you've got to find the center of each of these sides. And don't forget, you're finding the center of each side on the other point. Okay, now remember, to find the center, you connect lines between the corners. Now, well, we can see that one's garbage. So before I go any further here, okay. Now, where are we here? Eyeballs. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, what we've got here, okay, is the way the Stargate program works is to find where you are in three-dimensional space. You build a cube, okay? By drawing a line between the corners of each cube, you can find the center point. Now remember, this center point is matched on the other side of the cube. Where everything connects, because you draw a line between both sides of the cube, top, bottom, sides, front, and back, that will show you the center point. Now, the way the Stargate program works is they take this configuration and using 7 markers, and this is why 7. Okay, you've got the size of the cube, which requires 6. But then you've got to have your destination point, which is the 7th one. That's why I've got this one up here. And then when you do that, Okay, because these all run between their own sides. And where it meets in the middle is the point that you're connecting. So you need your 6 points and the 7th, which is your destination point. Once you've got this figured out, all you got to do is power the thing up. And that is done on a modified version of the OTE drive. Okay, net result, you have a stable wormhole between this location and that one. Net result, we now have transportation over massive distance. Joe. Joe's asking, I do have a question. How do I keep from spitting, if you will, when talking in a fast manner, having a conversation with both my parents? The only thing I can suggest, because a lot of people have the same problem, is make certain you take the time to swallow your saliva as often as you can. In case you weren't aware, I have the same problem. But it's because your saliva glands are hyper producing, and of course, the more excited you get, the faster they seem to produce. Net result, all kinds of problems. Christine, in answer to your question, yes, I am doing functionally well. Okay, I've got a lot done. I've got a real solid focus on where I'm heading at this point and how I intend on getting there. But it's kind of comical when I look at some of these theories that we're talking about. I'm actually including a lot of them in both the writings that I'm doing for the newsletter. Okay, and I'm going to ask you a really bizarre question. And this applies to any one of you. What, pray tell, is a blog? I keep getting told I should be writing one. Only I have no idea what the thing is. Like I said, I'm very much a dinosaur in a lot of ways. Some more so than others. But the reality of it is, I know I've got to get into the 21st century. And slowly but surely I will. But that's just an interesting it's an interesting question from my standpoint. But yeah, the other thing about the Stargate program that people keep asking about, I was about a year ago handed a picture of an item that was being constructed. Okay. And it turned out that was literally, I've actually included that particular item without the picture in the second printing. We finally got started moving on that properly, which means I got a lot of work cut out for me. Where is that? Nope, not that one. That one. What do we got? Okay. I got 84 pages to do. Where's my brain box? Right there. 84 minus what did we just finish? 12. Whoop. 84 minus 12 is 72. And we are now on the 18th. We are on the 18th. Okay, we can still do it. I was just doing a real quick check there on time frames. Now, where is what we just saw here? There we go. Derek, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I'm currently having to work I've put things off because I ran into problems with the computer and what have you. Thank you so much for confirming that, Joe. Yeah, they only went out at like 4 o'clock this morning, something like that. However, I started doing a complete rebuild on the entire layout of it to make sure it takes on a very static pattern come January of 24. I've decided, quite frankly, that leaving things. No. Sorry, Philip, not blob, blog with a G. This funny thing. That. And yes, I remember the 1960s movie The Blob. I mean, it's a fantastic movie as horror movies go. Yeah, absolutely a bit B class, but what the heck? That was one of those really neat movies I watched. I mean, they were absolutely classified as B class. But hey, what the heck? Oh, there we are. Chad, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now let's get that little link up. And we go to there. And we find the Chad Smith podcast. And what do we do here? Copy. And this is the link to Chad's archives. So absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Then turn around and share the daylights out of the thing. That is the best way to do things, in my opinion. Shouldn't have hit that. Now, what do we got here? Unfortunately, Derek, Derek's just saying, sometimes violence is necessary. Yes, sometimes it is. In nature, it happens all the time. The thing that is not necessary is violence for violence sake. Okay. Yes, sometimes you have to get violent to protect your land, to protect your loved ones, to protect your neighbors, your community, or your own life. But violence for violence sake is pretty much pointless, in my opinion. Okay. Oh. Well, I'm doing that anyway. I like that. Philip goes, blog. I think when someone spends hours and hours working on written material and then gives it away for free. The funny part about it is there's a lot of material I look at and like a lot of information I'm sitting on that I go, it's not a question of desiring to make money off of it. Okay, yes, I've got a lot of books I do intend on selling. Okay, and I'm figuring they'll end up tied in with the rest of it. But with that in mind, that almost sounds like what the newsletter is. Okay, only it's a paper version. But what we got? Where are we? Shadow goes, lots of wild animals are violent for no other reason than the thrill. Killer whales, cats, and ducks are creatures who are very evil, in my opinion. Well, I won't debate that they're evil in your opinion. Do I find that they are violent just for the sake of violence? They are driven by instinct and survival. Now, I don't know how a duck can qualify as being evil. I know in D&D we had the game master put us up against a literal duck from hell at one point. Honestly, Philip, that's literally all I'm looking at. You know, the thing I'm looking at from that standpoint, we can focus on the violent side of things, okay, or we can focus on the passive side. Personally, I like the passive side, although I'm no fool. I understand that there are some really bad things going on right now. Okay, really counterproductive to peace. You know, I've seen chickens do the same thing, Shadow. You know, I've seen chickens actually exhibit definitive definitive color prejudice. We used to raise chickens, and the white ones would invariably attack the rare black one that showed up. But there is absolutely the possibility, and the reality, by the way, of violence in nature where we may not understand the cause of it, but the reality behind it is we've actually got to focus on what we can control. And that means, in my opinion, control your own urges to be violent. Now, I found an outlet. Okay. Of course, anybody that's a gamer has found an outlet for violence. Okay. The other outlet is writing. Okay. Now, I finally got moving on that. Boy, did I have a mess of a hiccup on that one. But when I take a look at it, okay, I take a look at the whole picture and go, okay, how can we work with this and still find a peaceable solution? Obviously, you don't go out, you know. That's terrible, Philip. What we got here? See, here's the thing. I know for an absolute certainty, mankind was built for war. Okay. Now, can I prove it? Not a snowball's prayer. But I can tell you that is a lot of the behavioral problem. Mankind was already built for war to start with. Now we are supposed to be, with a little bit of luck, a lot of people are making the effort to curb that violent side. I will tell you, alcohol doesn't help much in the curbing thing. Okay, but this is a world where we've got the option of either focusing on the negative side and letting that evolve, or focusing on the positive one. Now, what am I looking at here? Well, I know what I'm looking at there. I just don't need that at this point. It'll be really nice. There we go. Take that and pop that in there. Now, a couple of things I'm looking at. Get that out of the way. What do we got here? Absolutely, Philip. I'm not sure if JFK said it, but I will tell you this. Mankind's predilection for warring amongst itself is absolutely well documented. All the way back to Egypt and beyond. Okay. But so many people look at it and go, it's not my fault. You know, the world is a bad place, and that's why we're violent. The world is a difficult place because we're choosing to make it that way. Children are not born violent. Children are born, on the whole, willing to work with each other. Yes, they've got a certain amount of fear, But adults are what teaches violence, what teaches, adults are the ones that teach greed, prejudice. You get the picture. Okay. Now, the neat part about it, where did I just put it? This neat little book. Okay. The main character, if you've got Birth of the Wolf Pack, this is Jeremiah in front. And if you've already got a copy of it, you'll find he is a very, very, he is very violent capable, but he's actually relatively passive if he can get away with it. However, the earlier books show a different side of him. Iowax, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The answer there, Iowax, and it's got nothing to do with I don't like the game. But no, I won't even bother attempting to play Call of Duty. Okay, Call of Duty Warzone 2.0. The reason I won't is I can't track it fast enough to be able to play it. Okay, that's why I won't play a game of that caliber. It's simply because I do not have the capacity at this point to track it. Net result, it becomes an exercise in futility and frustration. And of course, if I get too frustrated, it has that other neat little tendency of frying the computer. However, my son, actually both my sons, I believe, play the game. And I will sit and watch it. But, now, I've been working on characters and getting them sorted out. Nope, not him. By human definition, okay, both of these characters here, by human definition, especially in the UFO range, both of these guys are what you would call Anunnaki. I forgot to bring out a smaller version. Okay, but humans come up to about the knee. Okay, Anunnaki are 15 to 30 feet tall. Okay, we've got skeletons around the planet of people this size. But you'll notice, now, this would be an Anunnaki, as is this. This is just a different one. Just like you have humans. You've got Caucasian, you've got your Orientals, you've got your Middle Easterners. Close, Philip. This one I bought it is actually listed as a hill giant. This one is listed as a storm giant. Okay. But they are both, the giants that we talk about are the ancient giants that were supposed to have walked the earth. Well, they did. We found enough skeletons around. What are we here? Oops. Not Death of the Wolf Pack, Wolf, Birth of the Wolf Pack. But, Phil's just gone. Death of the Pack Wolf. A lone wolf left. No survivors. My brain did a word scramble. But yeah, Jeremiah is very much, he'll talk his way out of what he can. But in the earlier books, there are renditions of him, shall we say, being a little on the violent side. Okay. As in looking for the fight. But somewhere in the middle of all that, you'll find he figures out how to be a little bit less directly volatile and turns to a much more defensive status. Where I find the figures convenient, and I forgot to bring the one down here, But what I'm doing now, and I'm getting them set up down here to be able to do it, is I take a figure and go, okay, that's who it's for. When I put them out, it helps me actually organize the stuff in my head, especially where it comes to choreographing a fight scene. Now, again, in the physical world, to me, violence is not of much use. It gets used a lot of the time, do not get me wrong. Okay, but the only place of violence is functional in my world, in my eyes, is in writing, in movies, in videos, books, whatever, in mutually agreed upon physical contests. Like, for instance, boxing or MMA. If they're mutually agreed upon, there's no problem. Uh-oh. One of the things that I do look at when I'm looking at the figures and what have you, it's a question of how to make them actually fit together, and how to make them fill that void. I need this guy. Get a little bit more of him done today too. There we go. Now, grab that. Grab that. Let's see what we can do here. But one thing that we got to remember, okay, when we're looking at the way this world works, we have to realize we've got a choice. Okay, we can focus on the negative side. Now, I'm betting, Joe, when you went and did your prayer, your rosary prayer, you were aiming for a peaceful solution to whatever it was you're working on, not a violent one. In case you hadn't noticed, violence is rather overrated. What do we got here? Ow. Speaking of violence, this guy just stabbed me. Now, what do I got? Major muscle groups require that. Move that over there. Can't quite reach it, that figures. So, I figured, what the heck? I might just as well get some of this done. It's been a while. Yeah, and the funny part there, Joe, is that's actually not animals, and I do mean I'm talking about the nature animals, the so-called uncivilized ones, have some pretty violent and bizarre behavior that can create some problems. Okay, and the reality of it is that is their way of showing dominance. Oddly enough, humans do the same thing. Okay, we're supposed to be a little bit more civilized. I run into a problem seeing that on occasion, because so many people take advantage of their own stature, and in a world where we are supposed to be civilized, where we're supposed to be better than the base animals, it's amazing how many people just don't get that message. Because so many people look at it going, well, if I can intimidate the person by showing I'm dominant, then I can get what I want. The comical part is when people actually take the time to work together, so much more gets accomplished. And that's just the reality behind it. Unfortunately, we have been taught to ignore that cooperation works better. We've actually been taught to ignore that altogether. The real question I look at is with those of you that are just starting to bring kids into this world, are you going to do as your parents probably did, as our ancestors clearly did? Are you going to keep teaching them how to be prejudiced, how to look at the negative side, how to be greedy, and how to expect immediate gratification? Or are you going to start to teach them how to be tolerant, how to be accepting and cooperative? That's the decision that the adults today get the pleasure of having to make. And honestly, it's also the question that should have been taught right from the get-go. To say the least, it's a little bit it's a little bit underdeveloped at this point. Now, do I know exactly what the solution is? Clearly not. I mean, let's face it. If I knew what the solution was, I'd have already implemented it. But you think about it. I spent 40 years in the Roman Senate trying to convince people, trying to show people how to be a little bit more, congenial, a little bit more accepting. That didn't work that well. We still ended up with a gladiatorial revolt. In all fairness, we had a fair chunk of them over the years. But we have to make a decision now as to what we're going to do with the remainder of our time. And I don't mean on this particular site. Okay, I don't mean just on as far as tonight goes. I'm referring to what are you going to do with the rest of your life? Okay, I am starting finally to get things. I finally got things organized where I know exactly what I'm aiming to build. And bear in mind, many of you have been told that you got to have your life in order by the time you're 20 if you desire to be successful. Well, I will tell you this. Look up Colonel Sanders. He was 65 when he figured it out. Okay, Donald Trump has gone bankrupt several times before he got to where he is. The neat part about it, Derek's going, freaks me out. I'm thinking that would be freaks me out too. But with that in mind, the whole situation we're in is absolutely a shambles. But we got to realize that the situation we're in currently can be turned around. All working on these does is it keeps my mind settled a little more so I don't create a major problem for myself. And that's just one of these things I look at going, okay, where do I go from here? And of course, I certainly can't do it with my glasses on because I can't see a thing, which is so much better than what it used to be. Now, right now, I'm just simply adding a little bit of color. This doesn't blend as well as I'd like, but hey, we're learning. And for the moment, this will have to work. But the thing we got to remember is it's up to you whether you're going to choose to work on something creative or work on something destructive. Personally, I prefer the creative thing. Although you may not be able to tell that by the books. Yeah, what do I got here? Hi, Zacocracy, how you doing? Oh, here we are. He goes, akin to yesterday's topic of 1 plus 1 equals 3. Today is the consequence of yesterday, defining tomorrow. Negativity is a cascading effect, like a boulder downhill, that further defines destructive destiny. Absolutely a brilliant way to describe it there, and there's a Zacocracy. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, wonderful. I'm wondering here. That says talk chat. Let's see if we go to live chat. Yeah, and this is where I run into an awful lot of trouble there, Derek. You know, Derek's just saying that he wrote a comment right ahead and it didn't show up. You know, this is why I was trying to get my computer or working properly. It's also why I will be upgrading my computer and then installing a few extra programs. But this one, I figure it's working. Let's just thank somebody that's working functionally, and we'll carry on. But yes, what we do today is what sets the stage for what we do tomorrow. Now, bear in mind, tomorrow never actually gets here. When we're looking at tomorrow, we are literally looking at today by the time we get to it. But each one runs to the next, and we simply have to figure out how to focus on that and how to focus on the positive side of it. Something I have learned is that when we focus on when we take a look at whatever you're doing, no, in all fairness, Derek, what good doesn't do that. In all fairness, Derek, they like I just checked to see if it was because it had shifted to top view instead of to live. But a lot of the time they don't actually show up. Why? I don't know. But this is why I say if I don't answer it, post it again. Now some of you happen to have my number here, which if you've got a question, okay, and actually that's not a bad move. Why don't we do that? Because some people are trying to get questions in here, and clearly YouTube is not cooperating. With this in mind, let's not do it quite that way. Now, like I said, some people have warned me, don't put your number on the phone or on YouTube. Fact of the matter is I'm running a business. Okay, so having my number out there is not a problem. But if you've got a question that doesn't come through, absolutely drop me a text and I will do my best to answer it. I've got the thing right here anyway. Okay. Yes, absolutely. And that's just it, Joe. This is why I say when you're in somebody else's house, YouTube actually gave me a warning back during lockdown. And they sent me a set of guidelines and said, look at these. There are certain topics, therefore, that I will not cover. Okay. I'm not about to go head to head on YouTube with mainstream religion, mainstream politics, even the mainstream pedagogical society. Okay, but I am starting to cover these topics in the newsletter. Yes, Christine, I actually do. The only thing I use my cell phone for is phone calls and texting. Okay. I don't use it for anything in the way of once in a while, I'll take a look at a video if it shows up, but I don't go looking for them. Like if somebody sends me a video, I can sometimes get it to play here. Okay. But do I use it from the other standpoint of searching that? I've got a computer in front of me, so I stick with that. But what I have found is there are some questions people are trying to ask that I got no problem answering. Okay, but unfortunately, they won't come through on YouTube. And I hear this a lot. Okay, I just don't know what to do about it. YouTube has its own guidelines and therefore has to go that way. In any event, there are some questions I won't answer. Okay, but if I'm not going to answer a question, I'll tell you why I won't answer it. But as a matter of fact, somebody, wonder if I can figure out who. What do we got? Oh, there we are. Chad, I'm just looking at the videos you sent. At the pictures you set up. Just taking a quick glance at them. Now that's a nice telescope. I never had one that big, but that's definitely a nice little telescope. No, those are really nice pictures there, Chad. What do we got here? But no, the neat part of, let's get back to that because I can see that easier. The neat part about it is that there's a lot of questions people ask that I just won't give an answer to. But I will tell you, I'm not giving that answer. There was a chap that used to be in this chat room that really wanted me to answer a question. And I told everybody flat out, I'm not giving that answer until I get go ahead from the individual involved. Well, as it turned out, that didn't go over all that well, and I haven't seen him since. It's unfortunate, but the reality is I've got guidelines that I will stand by. Okay. That's just the reality of the way my world works. Figures to keep things organized. What have I got here? I'm thinking if I take, that's an excellent question. That's my goal. What do we got here now? I think that'll work out really well. So we pop that open. Let me add it there. Then I get up and write about that. On the other hand, will work. The thing we have to look at is take a look at the world that you're building. And I mean the world you're building. Like I'm already working on building, not that. I'm already working on building a different world for myself in 2024. I encourage you, quite frankly, to do the same thing. But there are some easy ways to do it. Okay, and it boils down to getting the idea in your own head of what you are not content with. Now, these guys, like the reason I haven't bought a lot of extra figures lately, one, lack of cash flow. Two is because I got over 500 of these guys that are not even, many of them aren't even touched. So now it's a case, okay, let's see what we can do to actually make these, to get these wrapped up. Because as I get them put together, okay, then they will start to take on a life of their own, as it were. Kind of works out nicely from my standpoint. And as you can see, when we take the time to do it, it's not great by any stretch, but at least it is taking on an appearance of its own. The reason I use these guys, like I said, painting the figures gives me the opportunity to help choreograph things. Writing out the different tasks that you've got in point form will help immensely in ensuring that you get the success, that you co-create the success you're seeking. But understand, this is something that's going to take a lot of work. Okay, it's not something that just automatically happens because you'd like it to. Okay, right now, what I'm doing here, this is, like I said, the storm giant, and I'm just getting a feel for what kind of attire they work with. From a human standpoint, these would be classified as Anunnaki. Okay, and yes, we have lots of skeletons that are of the Anunnaki. It's just humans are looking at them going, they don't make sense. Well, when you think about it, they make perfect sense when you take into consideration that they were here at a time when the oxygen levels were high enough to support that. Dinosaurs were not the only thing that were that large. Okay, but the Anunnaki are not human. They look human aside from their size, but they are not. And that's something we do have to remember. Okay, is that these are people that are very, mentally speaking, very well developed. They don't tend to go to war with people, but they have been known to accidentally do in a few. In other words, if they're not paying attention to where they're walking, the odds are they're going to kill a human. Not out of spite, but simply because, well, let's face it, you don't see the person, you step on them. When you're 30 feet tall, that's going to cause a mess. Yeah, somebody popped something in here. Zygocracy. Yeah, is going big trees, big vegetation, big reptiles. Absolutely. And the funny thing about it is, even at that point, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, we also had elementals roaming the earth. Principally fire elementals and air elemental and water elementals. Bear in mind, air and water are the same element. We know this because as water heats up, it evaporates and becomes thin and what have you, rises up, turns back into rain. Okay, this is why I keep telling people you're actually only working with four elements: water, fire, earth, and spirit. And yeah, there's a lot of witches out there that will argue the point. And, we'll just have to work with the idea that we've got to just simply agree to disagree. Because the reality from my standpoint is simple. If they have all the same properties as each other, then they are, by definition, the same thing. You know, as the saying goes, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck and walks like a duck, the odds are the thing's a duck. Okay, and what I'm looking at here is, as you can see, okay, we're getting the armor in place. Now, this little guy here, I gotta go up inside. Now, this is amazing, when you think about it. On Friday, in other words, a week ago, my hand spasmed so bad that it shattered my computer. Okay, now I've got pretty much dominant control over the thing. But it really boils down to getting an image in your own head of what you're seeking. Now, where did my dragon go? That's not my dragon. There's my dragon. See, I actually don't need the gold on this one. Well, I got a little gold here so I can finish off bits and pieces. But no, the reason I use these is it makes it so much easier to figure out what something looks like. And that's why I'm working on some of the figures and going, this is, here's what I'm looking at in the way of an actual figure. This individual plays this character, is used for this character. That way, at a glance, I can remember what he's wearing, this sort of thing. Although that's an interesting challenge trying to find the right stuff. What do I got here? This is the bottom of the rib cage, which didn't actually turn out quite as well as I would have liked. However, that's not in and of itself a big problem. It just boils down to making certain that when you're doing something, plan it out, even if it's only in point form. Plan it out as best you can. Okay. Now, this particular critter, see, I'm going to look at this. Now, as you can tell, he's gold. Okay, or more to the point, I painted him gold. I'm thinking of getting another one and painting it silver and brown, aka a steel clockwork dragon with with brown leather wings. So yeah, this is the easy part. But what we gotta remember, and I'm gonna take a look at that in just half a sec, guys. Eyeballs. Yeah, see, the funny thing about it, well, there we go. Gotta take a look at that since I did tell people that we could do that. I should take a peek at it and see what came in. Oh, okay. And Christine, your text just came in. So I'm just sending you a real quick response. Whoop. Maybe I should learn to type. What do you think? And there you go. Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And Nathan is back in the house here, so let's deal with that, shall we? And we go up here. Well, we go to there. Oh, I closed it. That was brilliant. Where are we here? That one. We go all the way down. We find Nathan. We go copy, and this is the link to Nathan's show, to Nathan's live show. So I paste that there. So absolutely, guys. Yeah, tonight is Saturday, so definitely drop by, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up, and certainly subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. It's time we start making things move. And to that end, Nathan, assuming that my energy doesn't tank right after work, I will do my best to be there. Ow. But yeah, the reason, and Nathan, just for your edification, you'll notice if you look up a little, I put my phone number in the chat room. And yeah, lots of people will tell you don't do that. Except I'm running a business, and having my number out there where people can reach me might be an idea. Now, I am curious if I can figure this part out. Whoop. Here we are. And we just do this. Whoop. There. And now, Christine, I actually have your name in here, which means I won't just automatically ignore a phone, because there's a lot of time people will contact me, and I don't feel like talking to people. They're just going to tell me spend more money on them. Okay, but I do now have, your name in my cell. Okay, should make it a little easier to connect in any event. Now, what do I got here? So hopefully, Nathan, you're more than welcome there, Nathan. Hopefully the day has been going well for you. Yeah, I know there's a lot going on lately, and what we've got to really start focusing on is making sure that we turn everything in the right direction. Sadly, way too many people are turning it in the wrong direction, or shall I say, in a more counterproductive fashion. So right now, this is not turning out as well as I would like. Not surprising, really. I wonder. Ooh. Boop. Slide that out of the way. Reach down here, maybe this will help. Gotta get stuff out of my way so I can actually deal with it. But like I said, I was going to bring some of the figures in here to work with. Because let's face it, I've been neglecting that a lot lately. There's been a lot that's been going sideways. And it really boils down to, at this stage, making absolutely certain that I can work with it. By the way, this particular critter is literally being designed to work into the Yldrbacian Chronicles. This is, as it looks, a mechanical construct, and we are looking at writing it into the equation. Haven't quite figured out how it's going to fit in, only know that it will. But this is why I'm working on the things I am, is to make certain that all of this comes together. Now, one of the things that I got to point out, the more organized you can get, the more of the individual senses you can put together in a picture. Oh, okay. Where are we here? Where, I got that turned down so I can't see what's going on. Take that, minimize. There we are. Yeah. Yeah, I take it takes you a while to get set up as well there, Nathan. I know for me, it usually takes me about a half an hour, so I set it up so that it's ready to go as soon as I'm able to go on air. But I take figures like this with the idea of let's see what we can do to get the coloring in them and make them stand out a little bit more readily. Do I have... I forgot to get it. Well, that's going to toast those. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, Nathan. Yeah, I'm finding out all sorts of things that are royal pain trying to get up and running. And especially when you have computer problems to start with. Now, so that I don't run into a major problem here, give me about a minute and a half, and I will be right back. See, this is the thing you never drink. Coffee cup full of soapy water. Really bad idea to drink it. Although, sadly, there's some genius out there that's going to try it. Who try this because it's good for you. It's a challenge. I'm not sure where the challenge is. I think that just boils down to a challenge to see how dense people can be. But, like I've got what do I got here? Forrest Louie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. When you're looking at changing the way your world is working, when you're looking, like in my case, putting the imagination to work, okay, the more senses that you can involve whilst you're doing any creative process, and bear in mind, clearing out all of this junk behind me is a creative process. Okay, you're still altering the world to your satisfaction. And the more senses you can involve, the better off you are. Christine, in all fairness, it was actually 2 degrees today. Now, 2 degrees boils down to about 30. Well, the rough gauge would be about 36, just above freezing. By the way, I'm also walking around in bare feet. I used to be comfortable to 10 below. Which boils down to at 10 below, you're looking at about 26, 27. And think about that. Actually, I can tell you that easy enough. See, I got one of these things, and some of you will recognize them. Okay. That's the old style thermometer. That's a mercury thermometer. Okay, so right now, it is 24 degrees in the house, right, which also boils down to about 66, 67. And that's just a rough estimate, but that's a mercury thermometer. Okay, Nathan knows all about that stuff. Yeah, he'll be a 70. See, I'd rather be a 79, to be frank. No, I think I'll just stick to being Keith. But, I'm much happier at the warmer weathers, at the warmer temperatures. I'm just not that interested in moving south. But this is why I'm in shirt sleeves. Mind you, I was outside today. It was 2 degrees out, and I was outside in my shirt sleeves too. Not bare feet, but in my shirt sleeves. When you're aiming at changing something, the more senses you can involve, the easier it is to work with. Okay. And that's where this is all coming in. Now, is that stable yet? He's drying nicely. Whoops. Now, I've got to get another paintbrush here. Not that one. That one will work. See, the one problem I have is I need glasses at various different stages at this point. Okay, because I need short range glasses for the computer here, long range glasses for the PS5 up front, and for driving, and then no glasses at all for close working. I just about said close combat. But bearing in mind I'm pacifist, combat is not high on my list of priorities. So now what I'm doing is just working and getting these little bits and pieces dealt with. Okay, all sorts of things coming in, so we should really focus on that. What do we got? Forrest Louis. I looked at bifocals at one point. Problem is, because of the amount my eyes move around, they would make me dizzy. And you can just picture what a trifocal is going to do. You know, that's why I didn't go that route. Because I can actually see the line. And you're not supposed to be able to, but I can. And I know they make trifocals, but for me, like most of the time, I'm working right now on something that does require me to jump between them. You know, which is an interesting setup. Yeah, I'm thinking that can be done that way without any problem. Where is cobalt blue? Right there. Cobalt blue, I can go add that. And then we can take this little guy and get a major chunk of the big stuff done dealt with. You know, the funny thing is, this will actually enable me to write the story a lot more readily, because I do have some of these guys coming in. You know, coming into the story. It's one of those things that it takes a little bit of work. And when you get too many things on the go, and this is why the list becomes so important. If you get too many things on the go, you'll end up creating a problem for yourself. So I've got these figures I'm working with just to make it easier to choreograph. Okay. Especially given some of the conflicts. Like this guy, do I have them here? I didn't bring them down with me. I've got a couple of them that I've actually been, and by the way, are two-handed giants, also known as two-handed Anunnaki. But, well, that was just plain stupid. Don't want to put that in there. Yeah, that was just plain dense on my part. But the more you can visualize or write down, including as many senses as you can get away with, the clearer that image is going to be. You know, which is why, like, I started. By the way, I've started working on. We were making headway today. We finally got all the templates sorted out for Races of the World, so that's coming along nicely. I'm still on target. I got to work like a monkey tonight to get it over the next couple of weeks to get it done, because with the computer problem, it put everything on hold. But we are actually making headway now. And so, yes, I am still looking at getting things out by the end of the year. Actually, my apologies, by the end of the month, not the end of the year. Although it's possible I'll get them out by the end of the year, too. Should be well in hand by that point. Now, as we can see, well, you can see as soon as I turn this thing around, the colors are coming in very nicely. It's just taking a little bit is all. Now, see how quick that turned around? Whoop, where is it? I don't think you're seeing it that well. Oh, that's because I'm looking at the cape. Okay, we're getting the bottom frill sorted out. You know, and net result, that would look nice, in my opinion anyway. By the time I get it all sorted out, it will be a lot better. I will tell you, it's a royal pain in the neck getting at some of these angles. But when you're looking at changing things, the figures come in handy for choreography. Okay, I'm just trying to think if I actually picked. I went looking for a couple of other figures, but of course, with a cash flow issue, you gotta be careful. In case you guys didn't know. Put that down there for a second. Let's see what's popping here. Yeah, that's the one thing. As it gets colder, most people don't actually want to deal with it. Which is kind of funny in some ways. I'm Christine. I hope you got the return text. Just to make sure everything went through. Yeah, I thought I had one, but that's not a bad idea there at all for us, Louie. Either a set of jewelers, like the jeweler's hat. If I'm working on it, that would make sense, and it's something that's, as a matter of fact, how about if we finish one thought at a time? What do you think? Oh, perfect, Christine. Thank you. Find my pen here. And let us mark that down. I used to have one, but it kind of broke, so it ended up going the way of the dodo bird. But, Forrest Louie, I have now got that down on my list of stuff to pick up. Because where it comes to working on the fine figures, that would help immensely. One thing that I will tell you, with figures, it works really well for the painting. Okay, it works really well from that standpoint. Where it comes to actually modifying your own world, figures may not be as useful as a pad of paper. Okay, this is just one of those things I look at going, how do we work with this? How do we make it a little bit more effective? Okay, but it boils down to one small concept. People do not plan to fail. People fail to plan. Which is why I'm working on what I am. How do I make this take place properly in a solid enough fashion that I don't have to worry about it? Where it can be consistent in its effectiveness. When I get done the stream tonight, I will be writing a couple more articles for for January's newsletter. But and again, guys, somebody's already given me an answer to what a blog is, which is great. All that boils down to is I've got to start posting a little bit more, which that I can do. Lord knows I've got enough material. It just boils down to making certain I get things moving in the right direction. The way I figure it is this. You desire your life to change. It's time to start making it happen. Now, the painting is really helping a lot where it comes to organizing things in my own head and making sure I can choreograph the writing. But there's some writing stuff that I do that all the figures in the world won't help. But the principle is still the same. You plan what you're working on and make it happen. But do not make the mistake of going, oh, everybody told me I can't do it, therefore I can't. Okay? When you get your head set, when you decide you're going to make something happen, everybody and the dog can tell you it's not going to happen. That you can't do it. In some people's cases, that works out really well because it boils down to going, okay, you're telling me I can't do it, so I'm just going to do it to prove I can. Personally, I get a thought in my head that I'm going to make something happen. And then I just go about being certain that everything that's getting in my way is modified to contribute to my success. Now, yes, I've made the mistake, in case you hadn't figured it out, of relying on too many people that have said they will do it with me, or they'll do it for me, is more to the point. The ones that have said they'll do it with me, we just have to connect. But the people that I've paid to actually do work has almost unilaterally proven to be totally useless. Now, Shadow and Son have phenomenal painting techniques. Right now, I'm just working with the bare basics because that's all I've got. This part about paint is as it evolves, as my skill gets better, I can paint over the ones I choose to. Nice thing about paint is it does that quite nicely. But it's funny, you think about it when I'm dealing with the painting side of it, I can usually keep my hand relatively stable. It's actually not that hard. But if I'm not concentrating, it can shake like an absolute leaf. Now, I saw something coming in there. So pop that in there. Whoop, didn't want to do that. Absolutely, Christine. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Yeah, I will. I usually once I'm done the stream, I just leave the thing sit there. Okay. But yeah, it'll still be running. If you get a chance to drop back in, absolutely do so. I'm certainly not going to kick you out of the room. But you have a really good night there, Christine. The one thing I have found when you're working on projects, the more organized you are, the better on, the easier things get to be. Like I said, it's taken me forever and a day, it feels like, to get things organized and to start actually having everything moving the way I desired it to. Now it's going to come together really quick. As soon as I get done this stream, I got a bunch of articles I got to write. I've got some more editing to do with Races of the Worlds. I'm about halfway through today's run of it. Okay, and I do have a layout of what I've got to get done in order to come out on time. On what I consider on time, anyway. Because, like I said, my goal is to make certain that Races of the Worlds, the second edition, the second printing, comes out on time. On time being the end of November here, in time for Christmas. But it is going to take some work. So that's where I'm focusing my efforts right now. This is just something that I usually do on Sunday, and I keep getting sidetracked, as in getting done with my game and falling asleep. Which, by the way, is not conducive to doing painting. Yeah, I can dream about painting while I'm sleeping, but it doesn't seem to accomplish a lot. But as you can see, as you can see, we are coming together with the different colors. Where are we here? It's just taken a fair chunk of work to do it. But again, the clearer you are, even when you're listing something you're working on putting together, like a goal that you've got around the house, the more you can determine, the more specific you can be, involving as many senses as you can get away with, okay, or as you can describe, the stronger the chance of success is going to be. It just boils down to deciding, is it worth putting the effort into? If the answer is yes, it'll come together very nicely. If the answer is no, then you'll find every reason under the sun not to make it happen. For me, because I have technological challenges, it becomes a, shall we say, exercise in futility a lot of the time. But this is coming together quite nicely in my eyes. It just boils down to being very aware of your own limitations. Now, one of the reasons, okay, that worked out relatively well. Sort of. Okay. Look. Okay, now we put him over here so he can dry. Keep going to do that. I keep going to put my paintbrush in my coffee. Now, which figure is that? Oh, that's okay. So let us see where brown is. Should have brought brown with me. That's silver, not brown. Clearly, I didn't bring the brown back. But, again, here's the thing. When you're looking at your life, when you're looking at the way, like I keep telling people, everything is connected. Okay. Do I got red here? No, I do not. When I talk about everything being connected, I mean quite literally the whole 9 yards is. Okay, because what you're looking at is, let that imagination of yours do what it can. Okay, and what it can do is visualize all sorts of things changing in your life for what you consider the better. You know, one of the things that I've noticed, especially with kids, Dee, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now let's see. If I remember correctly, and that's not an entirely bad idea, it's kind of a weird idea in some ways. That works out well, though. Not a problem there, Dee. Glad you could join us. I mean, actually today I was on time, which was really weird. What is today? What time are we? We're sitting right there. Okay. I got a really bizarre question. This is really more along the lines of black. But since you brought it up there, Forrest, question for you. In your eyes, what kind of color should we be looking at? Because I'm going to go grab a dragon and show you which one I'm thinking of. And it just lets the whole mind go all over the place. Give me 10 seconds here. Don't need that light on. Here's where we pick your brain there, Forrest. Hey, there we go. And psychocracy, here we are. Maple leaf red with brown hues. That's not a bad idea. Now, here's the question. Okay, don't know if I've got maple leaf red, but I've got this little dragon, or I've got this one. Are the two bigger ones I've got. Okay, now that one can't be used. Where did I just put that box? And there's a real noun that looks kind of interesting. I'm just wondering which one of these guys you guys think is the best. What I'm looking at, I'm literally putting together stats as we talk to bring this critter into the stories. I even know how to bring it into the Yldrbacian Chronicles. Okay, this is where creative minds get to work together. Okay, we've got this little chap here. I should probably turn that off so we don't have quite as much glare. Where are we? Right there. There. Hopefully that will cut down on the glare. I've got this little guy here. Now those are flames coming off the back end there. But I've got this dragon. I've got a slightly bigger one. Okay. Or we've got this little guy here. Okay. You got that little guy there. Now, like I said, I'm working on stats as we go along. Okay, I've got a few others that are already dealt with. Not the least of which is the black dragon. You can tell because of the horns on his head. He's just a little guy, mind you. How can you tell I like dragons? Or we got this one. So, any suggestions as to which ones? What do we got? And D's going bluish is her guess. This is just a question of trying to figure out which is the best one to work with. I like the idea. Now, needless to say, we know that dragons are carnivores. They would have to be. You could not have a dragon that was herbivore. It'd be eating way too much in the way. There we go, Forrest. You like this little guy. He's not, this one isn't a big dragon, but the nice part about it is you can start off with little dragons. Okay. So we can do that without a problem. And yeah, if we make him, okay. So that solves that problem. See, the nice part about writing is it's always nice to bring in creatures, especially if you know anything about Dungeons and Dragons. Bringing in creatures that are not run of the mill always makes it more entertaining for the players. So I'm thinking you take something like that. It's about 12 feet long if you look at the size of it. I don't have a man down here at this point, but that can be worked. Okay. Of course, the fact of the matter is, he doesn't have arms. Okay, he's just got the wings, which works out well. But you take a look at him, I can work with that quite readily. Now I just need to come up with stats for him as I go along. So let's get some of these excess dragons out of the way. In case you hadn't noticed, I like the little dragons. So we get some of these guys out of the way. Whoop, I don't know if that's got enough room. Yep, it does. Take the black one, put him back in there. I've kept the other one out of the way. So I can work with that without any real big problem. We've already, what do we got here? Go back up a fraction. Why am I doing that? Making it so hard on myself. Here we are. I will do what I can as far as that goes, Forrest. But I do have a couple of other dragons I'm working on as well. See, there's a whole package of that going on. Right now I'm working on book 12, and some of the dragons are coming back in. That's one of the things I had to figure out how to modify. And what do we got? Now, the nice part about it, like I've got this image in my head of what I desire this room to look like. Now, this is how I go about doing that. And again, the thing most people miss is they decide they desire to change something. So, where are we here? I've got behind me, I've got to dig those up, that's for certain. I've got behind me the different shelves that have to be cleared. Going in that box underneath the skull. Where are we here? Yeah, Forrest goes, I'm a slow reader. Be sure that once I finish book 1, I'll be buying book 2. Absolutely. And this is why I'm starting to double things up, as it were. Now, with Races of the Worlds, book 2, I'm starting to work on, but I am concentrating all of my efforts as far as Races of the Worlds goes on book 1. Because things kept getting postponed, right now, let's just call that up. I can give essentially accurate information. All I gotta do is call up that. That's book 12. Or book 12, that's page 12. Brain box. 76. And we have what? Today is 18 divided by 12. I have to get 6 to 7 pages a day done for the next couple of weeks to get done by the end of November. But considering I sat down and went through 6 pages, was it 6 pages? Let me just see here. Scramble all the way back up here. We got finished them. So, where are we here? That is page 9 down to page 9 to, I did 3 pages in about an hour, so I'll be able to sail through. When I get done this stream, I'll be able to rack off today's stuff and maybe get a little ahead on tomorrow's. Because I've got to get this dealt with. I've ended up postponing it due to circumstance and what have you. And I will tell you, blowing a computer apart definitely plays havoc with making headway. What have we got here? I just noticed something. Dee's going, I want to write a book, superhero book series. I have these creatures and ideas and downloads from dreams. I don't know how to dedicate my time and effort to actually write. Dee, I'll put it to you this way. Okay, absolutely contact me. I am literally putting a school together to teach people how to do that. Not from the standpoint of I've got a great big degree in English and in creative writing. What I've got is 60 years of practical experience. We can certainly point you in the right direction. Okay. And it really boils down to a very simple issue. Okay. I'm thinking, which is a dangerous thought, I know. I start thinking and my brain goes into hyperdrive. But let's do something really bizarre here, shall we? Get my paints out of the way so I can actually see my desk. You guys have all been painted on, so let's set you up there. Okay. Today is Tuesday, and we're trying to book things anyway, so the reason I'm staying up, guys, in case you haven't figured it out, my tabletop, my desktop calendar is right here beside me. Today is the 18th. Oh, today is the 18th. Think what we'll do there. Okay, here's a neat idea. D, I've put this in before and I'm going to put it in again. The easiest, there's a couple of easy ways to do it, depending on how you're looking for. Let me call up the right information. Okay, this is the best email address to connect with me on. Okay. This is the same email address that I use when people are buying books or buying anything else. That takes you through PayPal usually. We've had some complications apparently with one person in particular. But the other option, and people keep telling me don't do this. World, how you doing? But I run a business here. So that being said, here's the other one, D. And rest assured. Now, before you phone that number, it's really wise to text and let me know it's your number first. Because the ones I don't know who they are, quite often they get bypassed. They got too much on the go. But the email, an email connection. Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. Just make sure that you text me first. Okay, or you email me, let me know what the number is going to be. Because if a number comes in that I don't know, it gets put on the back burner, as it were. Where are we here? Especially if I'm already busy. And where is World? There is World. World, how you doing? Glad you could join us. This is the link to World's live stream. And therefore, drop in, give them a listen. If you, where are we here? Why does that not look like it went through? There we are. Okay. Whoa. That is okay. That's where the link to World's live stream. So drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, come right out, give him a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of it. I usually end up, because the way my energy levels go, I usually end up going in and looking at it a little later. Sad to say, my energy levels do really stupid things on occasion. Yeah, I thought about deleting it there, D, but the reality is the only way, like the best tools in the world, okay, the best tools, the best books, the best whatever in the world are absolutely useless if people can't find it. Okay, so absolutely. What I'm going to do, and this is where I got sidetracked. Can't picture that. Me get sidetracked. Today is the 18th. Tuesday, Tuesday I usually look at gaming. Well, we're going to look at gaming on Tuesday from a slightly different angle. And I'm going to walk people through literally how the birth of the Wolfpack came about and the steps that I went with in order to bring it to life. Okay. That is going to, we're going to simply look at creative writing in a very direct fashion. Okay. Personally, I think it should be really handy if you've got, whether it's a short story, a novel, a poem, doesn't matter. The principle is still the same. It's not a complicated process, but way too many people make it complicated. Okay. The way I figure it, and here's the thing. People are going to ask, point blank, and, you said you're starting school. What are you going to charge? Got all that worked out as well. I will be starting in online courses, some of which are things like creative writing, how to go about doing it. Understanding this is much more written from the standpoint of it being a layman's approach. Oh, now I gotta ask there, World. You've used a name I really don't recognize. goes on his show tomorrow at 8 Central. The best pictures of a Guguay so far taken. Oh, nice. Now, I'm presuming that the Guguay was an extinct ape. Okay. Or a presumably extinct ape. By the sounds of it, it's kind of like Loch Ness, not exactly an extinct animal. But yeah, this is why I tell people to come see your world. You've got some phenomenal footage, and unlike me, you do your research in a bang up fashion. Mm. Oh, that ought to be entertaining. Yeah, the one thing that I look at their world, my knowledge is firsthand. It's not done on research, so all the extra names I don't always know them by. Okay, I am kind of curious, and this is why I'm going to. That's on Sunday night. Tomorrow's Sunday, so at 8 Central, making it was 8 Central that makes it 6 Pacific. Well, I won't be on right at the beginning, but I'm going to have to drop in. You know, but no, the reality of it is I'm not the researcher in this field at all. Opinionated, got my own outlook on life, certainly. But have I bothered going and doing a lot of research? Well, let's face it, you don't get to see a lot of things in your apartment. And if you do, there's something really weird about your apartment. You know, the nice part now, where are we here? Oh, really? Wow. Today has gone by really quickly. It really has. Now, I do want to point out, like tomorrow, we're going to be taking a look on the alien. No, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is an open topic. Okay. Oh, tomorrow is an open topic, so we may go that route. We'll figure it out. But Monday, we're going to take a look at the myth about blood types and alien abductions. As in, what's the story behind them? Is one more likely to be taken than another? Just a real quick one here. World is adding here. It has many names across North America. Face Eater being one of them. Might give you an idea how dangerous it is. Also called Tagawe, Dewey Lake Monster, and Barilla. Often confused with Dogman and Bigfoot. That ought to be some really interesting information. Now, I will be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow's open topic. That's on the 19th. The 20th, we're set to look at the myth about blood types. How blood types come into play as far as abductions go. Who is at risk or not at risk? All of that, we're going to deal with all of that side of it tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, rather, on Monday. On Tuesday, we're going to take the gaming, we're going to tie it into creative writing, and this is literally something I think for you specifically, D, I do feel this is likely to be very beneficial. Okay. I'm going to go through how Birth of the Wolfpack actually ended up being written. Okay. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to call it a night, but I'm going to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me, guys. Really do appreciate it. And I will talk to you soon. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.